Good afternoon, everyone. This is Abhilash from Stwealth Pro Stocks. I'm going over my weekly process of reviewing what's the market health and what are the stocks setting up for us for potential breakouts for the next week, and any stocks that have potential catalysts coming up, like earnings or any other significant catalysts that we could think of. Okay. The very first step I will go through is go through my market monitor, and I'll go through various ratios, breadth ratios, to understand what market is going to do or how is it positioned so far in this week, right? So based on that, we'll decide, or we will come up with the bias whether we should stay bullish or stay cautious or just stay out of the market, right? So all right, let's get going. So these are the ratios. So these are pretty fun ratios, and I look for overextensions in these ratios, right? Anything which is overextended, that will catch my interest, but otherwise they are just business as usual. Okay. So as we can see here, this ratio is at the extreme, but not to the extreme level, right? So it is high, but not to the extreme level. And stocks above 50 moving average, it's rolling over. That's in a way good news. This is a 20-day moving average. This is more relevant for the style of trading for me. So it is actually in the no man's land, which is kind of good news, and it is also going down. Okay. If it is extended, that's when I need to know that I'll know that, like, I need to take off my foot off the gas pedal. Nothing significant to call out. Put to call ratios normal for indices. It is actually going down from the top. That means it's in a way it's good. Skew, yeah. Normal reading 143. Anything above 150 or 155 is when I'll be concerned. That's when I know that dealers are hedging and they are looking for some sort of uncertainty. Okay. Trend ratio below 1, not bad. And yeah, mortgage rates are rolling over, perhaps due to the treasuries. And this is something that everyone is watching. Treasuries, US 10-year yields, that is going higher, and that's why it's putting pressure on the markets and everyone, right? So it is going high, and we'll continue to monitor the situation. Besant tried something, but I don't think it worked out. And but it worked out in a way that they are buying a lot of assets, right? So see this bump over here. So that means they are buying assets from the market. It's a kind of quantitative easing, QE, in my opinion. Instead of Fed doing it, this time it is Treasuries doing it. I don't know if it's healthy or not. I don't have enough economic background on that, but it's not good. So the junk is floating high, right? So junk bonds is floating high. That tells uncertainty about the economy. So this is a concern we want to keep an eye on. Nothing actionable in terms of stock setups. Whatever I'm doing right now, it is just to understand what's going on around macro and how should I bias, how should I position myself, right, about markets. Okay. QQQ is kinda leading the markets. No problem there. Hang Seng, this is Hong Kong China index, and it is setting up nicely, right? There is a nice rally, and then here, so this is where your Baba or Timu company, PDD or Baidu, right? Those are the companies you might want to look up and see if they are being setting up well, right? Baba is one which is setting up really well. So just a quick diversion here. Ooh, okay. But overall, this is a good rally, and then some profit taking is going on. But Baba is overall, it's looking good though, looking good. If it is going to be continued selling, then I would be worried, but we'll see. Okay, next, um, volatility is coming down of X. CPC, this is a total put to call ratio, and the reading is 0.67, like you read here, 0.67, and it is completely normal. And front month, back month volatility, it is still above 1.2. That's actually often brings some volatility into the markets, and it is something I'm watching. Okay. This week, I want to include analysis of indices as well. Okay. Let's start with the QQQ, which is Nasdaq 100. Okay. So for Nasdaq 100, the lines, let me explain my layout a little bit. Okay. So blue line is for 10 period moving average, red is 20 period moving average, yellow is 50, and white is 200. Okay. Coming up top down, 200 period moving average is inclining and price is above, it is bullish. Okay, so market is, and the longer term trend is bullish. 50 period moving average is also is median term, which is like, right now it looks like it's rolling over and the price is hovering around 50 period moving average. So price went below 50 period and then came back up, and then now it is hovering around 50 period moving average. So it could be normal pullback, right? It could be normal pullback in any bullish context, and this always happens. Okay, nothing to be alarmed about. So this could be considered as a healthy consolidation, and the price is in a range here. So this can be considered as your range. Okay, and how long it can continue, god knows. Okay, so this is the range right now market is stuck in, and in order to be bullish, we have to see market going above the 748 level. And again, in order to be bearish, it had to be below 661. Right now it is in no man's land. Okay, so at this time we should be focusing more on individual stocks rather than on the index. Okay, so if a stock has a catalyst, then depends on the catalyst strength, stock will make moves, right, regardless of index situation. But probability, if the catalyst strength is not so great, right, then or if the setup technical quality of the setups are not so great, then they could fail a lot here. So you will get, I mean, potential to getting chopped or getting whipsawed is so high because index is below 10 and 20 and 50. Okay, now let's look at SPY, and it is a little bit better actually. You know what, 50 period moving average price is above that, but it is below 10 and below 20, or hovering around 20. Okay, so SPY is looking a little bit better than a QQQ. Now let's see small caps. IWM, this is also looking better than QQQ. So it seems like tech is the laggard here. It seems like that's a trend here, we can notice. So IWM, you can see here, it is going down. Okay, sorry, IWM is also looking better. Okay, it's above 50 period moving average, and it is still below 10 and 20, not so great, but above 50. Okay, now let's look at Dow Jones industrial average. So above 50, above 200, and but below 10 and 20. Okay, we'll see. If it loses, any index is losing 50 period moving average, then I would be concerned about it. Right now, not so much. Okay, QQQ is looking weak, and we acknowledge that tech is weak. That's a brief analysis about indices, and I would not get too excited about moves that this market is producing in tech, right? So there could be whips or rallies, which could be triggered by short covering, or which could be triggered by different market conditions, which won't last long, which may not last long, basically, right? So you want to pay with a skeptical eye rather than getting FOMOed into. All right, now let's look at themes data. Okay, so where money is rotating, right? So I actively monitor what are the active themes that market is looking. So I look at for quarterly basis, monthly basis, weekly basis, and daily basis to potentially catch the themes that are emerging, or if there is any rotation going on underneath, I want to catch those early to identify stocks which can have bigger moves. Okay, so on Friday, metals, critical minerals, and nuclear, like uranium, biotechs, they all has been leading the charts. Okay, so they were the leaders. Now if you see overall week, right, cryptos are the leaders. I bet, and Ethereum and Bitcoin were the leaders, right? So, and metals are also to some extent, and like gold, silver, you can see here gold and silver and copper, um, and biotech. XBI stands for biotech, and a little bit of oil, which we know because of uncertainty with the war, right? So those were the emerging themes for the week. Those were the themes for last week. And if you see monthly, right, metals, crypto, Ethereum, copper, and Bitcoin, silver, right, and to some extent software, right? Those were the leaders for the past week. And Friday, that equation has changed a little bit in terms of, like, they were going after the beaten down nuclear plays like uranium and rare earth minerals. Those companies, they are all going after those. Okay, now we have to see if that's going to continue next week, or is it just one day wonder, right? So that's something we have to watch. So that's the market themes. And let's keep an eye on crypto space. Crypto space is like, let's take a look at some of the charts in crypto space, and based on that we'll go. Okay, so IBIT, let's take with IBIT, or even Bitcoin directly. Bitcoin, right? Let's say Bitcoin. Now, would you buy Bitcoin here? I wouldn't, right? So it went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and oftentimes market moves like explosively in 3 to 5 days range, right? So I would wait for it to consolidate a little bit. I know Bitcoin can go explosive, right? But I wouldn't enter here because I want a low risk entry whenever I take a position, so that I can cushion myself or I can manage my risk better, right? So it already went up three, so it is not something I want to buy now. I want it to consolidate a couple more days and then go higher. Okay, that's when I will believe that yes, Bitcoin rally is real and it's going to sustain further, right? I know it is going up in the anticipation or the hopes of policy changes. Um, if something doesn't pan out, then this could just come down, right? So I don't want to be the victim of that. Okay. So Bitcoin, same story with Ethereum too. Same story, same ideal chart for Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? And now let's look at some of the rare earth minerals that they went after on Friday. Okay, see this massive expansion, right, with volume. So there is continuation here, which is a good news. Like there is some continuation, first leg, and then choppy consolidation. Then now there is a big buying came in on Friday. Now CRML, similar story, right? So there is a little bit of continuation that shows that yes, there is continued interest in this sector, so we will keep an eye. And this is my trend line here for CRML had a lot of catalysts in the past and we did try trading them, and this is where we anticipated it would go, but it did not work out, and this is where it ended up, right? So I wanted to clear this trend line, right? I wanted to clear this trend line with volume, then only I will believe that this move can sustain, right? So right now it is not actionable unless you got into them Friday itself, right? Otherwise, it's not actionable at this point. It is just a data at this point. Okay. And same story for all minerals, critical minerals, and metals and crypto, right? If you haven't initiated a position 3 days ago or 4 days ago, this is not the right time to initiate new positions, right? So if they pull back and gives you low risk entry, that's when you should consider getting into those. All right, now that's a story. So we will continue to watch in these areas, and if something presents itself in terms of low risk setups, then we will take those setups. Next, some of the earnings that I'm watching were, let me pull those up. Some of the earnings are, one is Crowd is interesting setup. It is not my favorite setup, but it is going in a channel, nice channel here, right? So it is bouncing a little bit on the bottom of the channel, which that means like this is acting as a support, which is good. But would I take a position? I don't know, right? So right now this doesn't have a lot of volume. I can see not a lot of volume, and then this is not that great close in terms of like strong buying is coming back. It's not nothing like that, but still we'll monitor. And if the trend seems like if there is going to be more volume coming in on Monday, then we might trade it. Right now it is watch. And other trade I'm looking at is Best Buy. This is, let me mark the earnings so that we all know what's coming up. Yeah. All right, so earnings is coming up in 3 days. So this stock is a past leader and it is setting up nicely. And if it crosses this level, if it gaps up above this level, then I'm interested. Okay. And there is a continued interest from previous earnings, and then now it is consolidating. I like this chart a lot. So I will be watching this for trading it. And Affirm is good too. Affirm, there are earnings coming up in the next 3 days, and this is actually setting up quite well. Okay, you can draw a trend line here, something like this. And if stock gaps up above these levels, then I'm interested in. Next is Rubrik, really strong stock, and it is at cycle level 100, and it is actually setting up well. And if you see, expand the scope here, so it is actually dancing around this all-time high. Okay, and it already made all-time high and then reverted, but it is at the all-time high level, and then things can go explosive at this level. Okay, next is Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree is setting up nicely, right? You can see the consolidation here. I'm interested in if it works well. If the earnings are good and the reaction is good, then I'm interested in this trade. And Autodesk, similar setup. There is nice, there is run up here, which is a little bit of a concern for me. But overall, software is stronger and it is in theme. So any good earnings can push it higher, right? So I'm interested in watching this because it is in the theme. Okay. And next is box.com, the storage company. This is also setting up well, and also it's a cloud software company, SaaS area where a lot of buying interest is coming in these days. So any good interest, good earnings can push it up. FRNM is another one I have. This is a new IPO. I don't think it's an IPO. This is an earnings play, but it is a non-earnings play which is setting up, and there is a nice um, range here, IPO range. So just keeping an eye on this. And similar setup, which I could recollect, is Ion Digital, which is also very similar IPO setup. So look at that. This is a nice IPO range is setting up, and then I'm interested in if it's breaking out. Okay, so I draw my lines just so that I know what I'm looking at. And next is BBW, Build a Bear. Okay, Build a Bear is also looking good. Earnings are coming up, and if the earnings are strong, then this could push higher. Only concern is Build a Bear is not really in the theme that I'm looking for. Okay, it is not a leading theme, or it is not a hot theme right now. So it could work, it could not work. Next is health equity. This is healthcare. Healthcare is where money is going as well. That's an active theme. So that is looking good as well, right? So there is a nice cup here and then very small handle, but still it's a healthy consolidation as far as I can see. Next, Alta. That's the makeup company, right? So Alta is also it's actually in a downtrend in a way, right? This little downtrend is going on, but the major trend is still positive, and this is a nice cup base. It is forming. Now, on this chart, what I'm interested in is if the stock earnings are good and if the reaction is good, right? And if the price goes up above this level, right? This level, then I'm interested. Okay. So it is also something I'm watching. And non-earning setups that are worth calling out are one is Snowflake. Snowflake has showing enormous amount of strength in the recent times, right? So this is where my prediction is when I did the video on this day, right? So it followed my trace very nicely, right? And it right now the current status is it is nice. It's nice pullback, and then there is a breakout on range expansion basically on Friday. So is it going to continue? I don't know. Will it have to call because like it already made its move in after this earnings, right? So leg one, two, three. Now we are looking at fourth leg, right? So I doubt how much it's going to run. Okay, so it is in the watch. If something presents to us, then we will look at it. And something other stock that I was looking at the other day is VCX. Remember the VCX parabolic move? It's a private fund, and it actually made almost like 1600%, right? 1700%. And if you look at the intraday charts, it's even higher than that. Okay, so this is actually there is continued. I mean, more volume is coming in this area, right? There is a lot of volume, and if you see here on this day on 14th, right, there is even it printed largest volume on that day. Okay, largest volume ever in the history of VCX fund. Okay, so that caught my interest, and it is setting up as well. And Friday would have been ideal entry, but it is not in my watch on Friday. So but it got added to my watch list this weekend, so I will be watching this to see if it breaks the level where my cursor is right now. Okay, if it breaks the level here with the more volume, then we could take it. I would say it's a late entry, but still we can reduce the risk and take a small position and participate in that rally. Okay, so this huge range expansion candle here is a big concern here. So potentially that could be a blocker if we want to come up with reasons why not to take this trade. Okay. And some other charts that are catching my eyes is T2, right? If anyone plays Grand Theft Auto, I'm sure you know Take Two Interactive Software. They are awesome with the Grand Theft Auto game. There were rave reviews about the game coming up, and if that brings more volume, right? Then I'm looking at look for the stock to break this level where my cursor is right now, 266. If it breaks above higher, then it can go as much as this level. Okay, 40% or $70. So that means that we are looking at easily looking at 330ish if it breaks out. Okay. And some of the past leaders showing some consolidation and strength, like semiconductor plays. So, and a few examples I have is SMCI. SMCI, there is a catalyst here on this day. Very good earnings came up, and then there is another catalyst on this day that the policy overhang, whatever it had in terms of their company ethical behavior or policies, right? So that came out positive. The third party gave a clean sheet for SMCI, so this could work. It is looking like a healthy consolidation after this trend up, so it could go up. Next, other one is Rocket Lab. Same story here. Rocket Lab went up, and then now it is pulling back and consolidating. It's a little bit accelerated pullback, I would say, compared to the cleanest pullbacks that I ever seen. But still, I'm interested in see if this level is going to act as a support and bounce from here. See, there is a lot of volume traded here. This is a past resistance, then went up. Now it became resistance for a long period of time. Then it again broke out. Now it is acting as a. It could potentially act as a support, and stock could go up. Okay. Again, this is all potential price action that could happen, right? Obviously, there are no guarantees. That's for Rocket Lab. Okay. And let's look at silver. There is a lot of interest in silver and metals, right? Let's look at what's going to happen for silver futures. Okay, let's apply that theory for silver. Silver had massive rally, we all know, right? So that happened in December 2025, November timeframe, and then it went all the way, right? So this is a mega rally that happens probably once in a blue moon. So 155% for precious metals is not trivial move, right? So that happened very rapidly within the span of 44 days, right? 44 trading days approximately, or 45. Okay, so that's a lot for such precious metals. Okay, so what happened after that? It is quite natural to see this kind of behavior. There is absolutely nothing new here, and this is the market has proven time and time again in this regards, right? So it made a parabolic move up, and then it had a massive crash on that single day, and then stock went sideways, and then now setting up a base again, right? So it's hold your FOMO on this one. So this is going nowhere, right? This could be going nowhere absolutely, right? So it could be chopping around between these levels. Like what I draw here is a fib retracement levels. So it could just chop between these levels like a 0.382 and 0.236. It could be chopping between those two for a long period of time, right? It's not going to make another parabolic move, and it's not. We will know it if it's going to do that. Okay, so is there a massive catalyst that could push these precious metals high? I don't think so, right? So, but again, opinions aside, we always follow price action. So if it's going to go high, then we are going to be in it. Okay, and let's look at gold futures. Similar story here. Gold had a parabolic run, not as much as silver, but it had a parabolic run. But if you expand the scope here, this is a parabolic run, right? So since 2025, and it did went up for 61%. That is a lot for instruments like gold. And within 120 days, it made 64%, right? How long will it take? It took for it to make 60% in the past, right? You can see it's not that, right? It's like 273 to get 44%. But here it made within 120 days or so, it made this 60% move. Okay, 66%. So that's a lot, right? Rapid pace, it moved, it appreciated. That means again that prompts a consolidation either by time or the price. So it did pull back, very nice pullback, right? And we did alerted our subscribers that hey, you could start buying gold small, right? This is an area, but I'm disappointed that it did not meet my price target of 304 3,400, right? That was my perfect level to load up on gold, right? It did not go all the way here. Maybe it will go next, who knows? But for now it is looking good in terms of bullish perspective. So it made first leg, and then going on to the second leg. So same story here as well, but instead of 0.236 and 382 levels, it could chop between zero point 0.5 and 0.382. Okay, that means like we are looking at 4700 and 4500 range. So between those two levels, it could chop a little bit because there is a lot of overhead resistance here that could come into the play. And what is the catalyst here for gold or silver to go up? It is macro, right? Treasuries and all. So that situation could be resolved, and that basically decides it. There is no fundamental catalyst for gold and silver in terms of like some demand perspective or more gold consumption perspective, right? It is not like that, but it is more of a macro thing, and it could change with a simple tweet or a simple policy change. So be on a lookout for gold and silver. There is a trade opportunity here, but is it going to be a massive? I don't think so.